It's meant to me a lot with the option in charge the same company. You know what? You did a great job. That's very important to us. For me and my team.
This looks like a really big mess. Next time, on Heavy Rescue 401, chaos in Toronto. Mixed Holloway forces on height speed. A one-man recovery crew. Kelvin meets his match. And the demolished tanker. Sparks the Baker truck.
Stop.
I'm meteorologist Jeff Morrow, keeping you updated on what's going on in the Atlantic tropics. We have two systems. The first is Tropical Storm Laura, with maximum sustained winds of 45 miles an hour. Rather poorly organized at this point. Most of the thunderstorms there, off to the east of where the center is. It does look like it's going to continue to move to the northwest and perhaps gradually strengthen. That will depend on how close to these islands, or if they go over the islands. If Laura goes over those islands, it could weaken it. Nonetheless, by the time it heads into the Gulf, the Hurricane Center has it as a hurricane. The other system is Tropical Depression 14, winds at 35 miles an hour, starting to get more thunderstorms around where the hurricane hunters have found the center of circulation. Over the next 5 days, it looks like this system will head off to the west-northwest, generally toward Texas.
How's it taste? It's so thin, crispy, and cheesy. And I just want to keep eating it. And eating it.
Snap. So good we may run out of cheese.
I'm meteorologist Jeff Morrow, keeping you updated on a very active Atlantic tropics. We have Tropical Storm Laura, maximum sustained winds at 45 miles an hour. It's located 250 miles southeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Rather poorly defined on the satellite imagery here, just to the northwest of Martinique. It looks like it'll continue on a northwest track here, and that would take it generally over Puerto Rico. It looks like maybe up over Cuba and Hispaniola. That would weaken the system, but once it heads into the Gulf, if there's still something left, it could redevelop and even become a hurricane. Then we have Tropical Depression 14, winds at 35 miles an hour, getting some storms around where the hurricane hunters have found the center. It looks like it'll head off to the northwest, perhaps over toward the Houston Gulf Coast, perhaps.
It doesn't matter whether it's CLS, whether it's cancer. I don't believe it just because you're sick that the world ends. It only ends if you let it end.
Next time on Heavy Rescue 401.
They're in one hell of a ride.
A sudden collapse.
If there's any safety concern, it'll become a full stop.
Pushes the rush crew
Watch your step.
to hit dangerous heights.
Don't go under it. Don't go under it. Get out. This is wild today, man. Wow.
And on a deadly stretch of highway,
We got something on fire over there.
a young operator
I just have a bad feeling.
makes his boldest move.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm meteorologist Jeff Morrow, keeping you updated on what's going on in the Atlantic tropics. Two tropical systems to talk about. The first, Tropical Storm Laura, down toward the Windward Islands and the eastern end of the Caribbean. Very kind of disorganized looking system, but is expected to maybe gain little strength as it moves off to the northwest. Right now, maximum winds estimated around 45 miles an hour. Its track right now would take it right up over Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba. That would weaken this system, but it may regain strength if it survives all the way into the Gulf. The other system is Tropical Depression 14, 35 miles an hour, maximum sustained winds, starting to get a little bit more convection or thunderstorms around the center. Its track would also take it northwestward through the Gulf, maybe toward the Texas Gulf Coast. We'll have an update from the Hurricane Center on both of these systems at 11. I'm meteorologist Jeff Morrow, keeping you updated on our tropical situation. We have two systems in the Atlantic. The first, Tropical Storm Laura, with maximum sustained winds at 45 miles an hour. Very poorly disorganized at this point, but generally moving off to the west-northwest at about 17 miles an hour. On that track, it would take it basically right up over the Greater Antilles, including Hispaniola and Cuba. A little bit problematic as to what kind of state it's going to be as it heads into the Gulf. The official forecast still makes it a hurricane once it gets there. Then we have Tropical Depression 14, winds at 35 miles an hour. It is starting to get a little bit better organized. Its track is shifted a bit west, taking it toward Texas next week.
Channel is now emerging into the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not sure just what happened with my max graphics right there, but Marco is a tropical storm. It is expected to intensify as it moves through the Gulf of Mexico and then approach the Louisiana coastline as we head into your Monday. So landfall could happen sometime on Monday afternoon with some of those very big impacts. Marco is a much smaller tropical system, and it is going to bring some impacts and bring up the waves. And there you can see Laura and the latest on Laura. Laura's tracking winds around 15 miles per hour. This is the one that's farther away from the U.S. right now. Still tropical storm warnings in effect for Puerto Rico, but the worst of the heavy rain is pushed off towards the west of there right now. Tropical storm watches are in effect for the Florida Keys as well as western Cuba and parts of the Bahamas. And we do expect that Laura is going to make its closest approach through the Keys sometime on Monday, and that could bring tropical storm force wind gusts and heavy rainfall. Some significant intensification expected when it moves into the Gulf, and we could be talking about a landfall sometime on Wednesday. That does it for us tonight. We'll have continuing live coverage starting at 6 Eastern.
And now your tropical update.